year 17. I am Vasily Tolstoy, the member of programming committee of the conference, and I'm here with Mr. Johan Hedberg. Johan, please introduce yourself to our listeners.
All right, I'm Johan Hedberg. I'm a software engineer working for Intel's Open Source Technology Center, where I've been working now, I think 6.5 years or so. And I've been working with Linux for a long time, more than 20 years. And in the past couple of years, I've transitioned partly to work with smaller real-time operating systems, in particular with the Zephyr OS. And what I spend most of my time with is Bluetooth, and I maintain the Linux kernel Bluetooth subsystem and the Linux BlueZ stack. And on the Zephyr side, I've been leading the development of the Bluetooth support that we have there.
Great. One of the maintainers we have here, gentlemen, which is a pleasure for us and the point of our local conference pride. So you are doing a talk of this conference, right? Can you condense it 100 times and tell in a few words what it was about?
Actually, I did 3 talks at this conference.
And 300 times.
I did a general talk about the Zephyr project, about the Zephyr real-time operating system for microcontrollers intended for IoT devices, about the kind of features it has, how it's a collaborative project run under the Linux Foundation, of the rich networking and Bluetooth connectivity capabilities that it has. So that was my first talk. Then the 2 other ones went a little bit into details. One was about Bluetooth mesh support, which is a new Bluetooth technology that was released this year. Talked about how Zephyr supports all of the features of Bluetooth mesh from the very moment that the specification was announced to the public. And the third talk was about the Bluetooth controller support in Zephyr, which is a very unique thing in terms of open source implementations. There hasn't been, until 2 years ago, there hasn't been any open source implementation of those layers of the Bluetooth stack before, but we have that now in Zephyr.
Great. Specifically about the mesh, because the people are, as I see, the audience was really interested, and this because I guess that everybody wants to any kind of decentralized things are very much like a live organism, and something in which we hackers can contribute, and it's usually the great thing, and technically complicated too, which is an additional challenge. For the usual question, but everybody has his own angle in that. What, from your point of view, was the most interesting thing happened last year in tech in general, in Linux, in your project, whatever?
During the past year?
Yeah, from our previous conference, from November to November.
Well, I mean, I would have to say what I've been involved with. I've been involved specifically with the Bluetooth mesh support, and I was following the development of the specification from its very early days until it became public, and doing the implementation basically in parallel as the specification was evolving. So that was, I mean, it's something that we have wanted Bluetooth to do for a long time, but it hasn't been there. There's been some proprietary solutions for that done with Bluetooth, which are mutually incompatible, and now finally the Bluetooth community has come together and created a standard out of this. So that was something quite exciting to be implemented during the past year.
And what do you think? Is there any hype around something which people consider, wow, it's a new greatest thing since the sliced bread, we should take part of it? Although you haven't listened about that, the hype thing.
Well, of course, you see and hear these things all the time. I don't completely understand this Internet of Things concept. I mean, of course, things are getting network all the time, but it seems to be maybe perhaps too excessively used, the terminology all over the place to create interest. I mean, things are interesting, but you don't need to put that label on everything.
No, with that label you don't get the hype. Without the hype you don't get the hype, which is the for the sake of hype. People being philosophical suddenly, I will say that it is something in the human nature to have expectations, to have labels, to rely on something, to just to hope that something will change the world completely. Usually it's not like that, but we can't blame the human nature. I would like to ask you a question about not about explicitly the tech, but about the community. The community of Linux, as you definitely know, being there for 20 years, is getting older. Just physically, the guys are getting physically older.
That's a big challenge.
What's your thoughts about the implications of this?
We need to find ways to reach out to the younger developers out there. I don't have a single kind of solution that would fix that, but it all starts by being aware of this and being conscious of it and trying to encourage the younger generation to join in on the project. But you're absolutely right that the key people involved in these projects, the average age is going up all the time.
So you think that there should be some special measure, some activity to bring new people in? Does it mean? And what it could be?
Well, you could try to create perhaps some kind of better presence in universities on open source for companies working with open source to go out into the universities and that's one thing I could think of.
And speaking about the personal experience in that, it's again a question which includes one popular political word. Is the membership, the activity in the Linux community, is it a form of empowerment of somebody? Like I'm a minority, I'm oppressed, and then I'm a member of Linux stuff and I'm empowered in this sense. It's used in this way. Or it is just like the form of expressing your own inclination. I can do something else because I love it so much, and it's not like I am getting better position in the outside world, it's just the internal thing.
Well, it often starts off with just a personal interest and getting involved, but of course there are many side effects of getting involved in the open source community because the work is open and there are many companies using that work and you make your own work visible, so it creates then opportunities, of course, for employment and whatnot. So in that sense, of course, it's empowering, but it's most of the time it doesn't, and in my opinion, it shouldn't start off with that's the primary goal, rather being there's again an intrinsic motivator there that you have something that interests you and then you get involved and then.
Let's see. And personally, I'm also a bit worried with this political flavor and that. I agree with what you say, but yes, you're quite right, I guess. I'm in the interviewer, I shouldn't have my own opinions, but here I'll break this wall a bit. I think that yes, that it could be a side effect, but it shouldn't be your personal motivation, like get more social standing in that. But it's a good thing to do if one of them goes in hand with other. And again, touching the education aspect, the source of information, any source of information, the book, the video channel, some personal blog, some right personal contact, educational program on Udacity or whatever. What source of information you would recommend to almost anybody? Like a thing, if you even know it before, it's a must to try it to see how it goes.
That's a tough question. I spend most of my time simply reading specifications. That's where I get my the information from that I need for my work. I do follow many different blogs, but there's no single one that would be like standing above all the rest. I have a long list of sources that I track myself, but I couldn't say any single one. But for my work, what I do with Bluetooth, it's what would probably seem quite boring to most people. I have to review specifications as they're being developed, and then as I'm implementing the specification, it's my main source of reference for
It's a good answer, by the way. And again, I share this opinion with you that usually you find yourself in a circle of books pointing to each other until you read the original material and it answers the questions which you are getting again and again reading the incomplete books. Let's imagine that behind this camera, it's not our wide but limited audience, but all the people who are interested in getting into tech in general, in Linux, even in your project, and younger people. Just thinking about, is it mine thing or it's not? Should it go to be veterinarian or a computer programmer of some different kind? What would you say to them? They're all behind the camera.
Well, you start with exploring what kind of solutions, devices there exist out there, and especially if there are like open source solutions available for those. If there's something that looks interesting, something cool that you can play around with, maybe something that solves personal problem that you have, you want to automate something or something like that, you should just bravely, with a curious mind, start exploring what's available. I don't know.
Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, do the practical things, and it will guide you by itself. Thank you.
Yep, thanks.